Welcome back into CBS Sports HQ, sponsored by Microsoft Surface. We hope you enjoyed all the action on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. But let's take a look at where things finished between a pair of in-state rivals, Arizona and Arizona State, to a 67-56 final. Arizona was favored by 3 touchdowns and a hook in this one, so they don't cover that number. And frankly, shot at just north of 30% from the field. A bit of a slopper on both sides, but number 3 gets right following their loss to UCLA earlier in the week. They'll look to stack up a couple wins as they take on UCLA later next week. All right, let's get our guy in the mix, Gary Parrish, here to break down what we saw between Arizona and ASU. GP, sort of a sloppy one on both sides of this. Both teams turning it over double digits, both teams shooting right in that 32% range. What did you make of the action?
It wasn't the prettiest college basketball game I've ever seen. And if you're Arizona, you can feel good and bad about things. Good because you beat a rival, an in-state rival, fairly easily while playing terribly offensively. But, Tommy Lloyd has to be concerned that for the second consecutive game, his team was terrible offensively. Against UCLA earlier in the week, they shot 31% from the field and 25% from three-point range. That's among the reasons they got blown out by the Bruins. And then in this one, it was 33% rather from the field and 13% from three. So that's 2 consecutive games where this team that is still ranked top 15 in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency, according to KenPom, it's 2 straight games where they have not been good on the offensive end of the court. If they want to reach the goals that they have set for themselves, which is, win the Pac-12 and maybe go to a Final Four in Tommy Lloyd's first season as a Division I head coach, you've obviously got to get better on the offensive end. The good news is that the offense have rebounded well enough to give themselves enough extra shots to get this victory, but you're not going to be able to rely on that every game. At some point, you got to start making shots like you were earlier in the season.
Gary, I think what's increasingly interesting about this college basketball season is, despite the means by which they got it done, they get the result here, bouncing back from that loss to UCLA. And there's a 3 next to their name. It likely won't be there when we reconvene and get the Monday AP poll. But when you take a look at the grand scheme of things, put a true rating next to Arizona right now. Where do they really stack up in your personal power rankings?
I think they're a legitimate top 10 team. I never was certain they were as good as the number next to their name suggested, whether it was in the AP poll, coaches poll, or anywhere else. They just kept moving up because they almost never lost. They were a one-loss team with the lone loss coming at Tennessee until they, got blown out at Pauley Pavilion earlier in the week. And so given that other teams around the country were taking, questionable loss after questionable loss, Arizona kept moving up the rankings. But when you looked at, who have they actually beaten, their best wins were a win over a disappointing Michigan team and a win over an Illinois team that at the time wasn't playing very well. So there were some real questions to ask about their body of work, but they can answer those questions later on in the week. They get a rematch. Just a week after, getting handled pretty easily by UCLA, they get a rematch with Mick Cronin's Bruins. And if they are able to put that victory in their back pocket, then, they'll have a big signature win that I think has avoided them so far.
All right, let's go further down that path. Time now for the Microsoft Surface bold statement, GP, as we take a look at that rematch coming our way on Thursday. Anything you saw in this one lead you to believe that the outcome against UCLA will be different from the blowout last week?
No, but I do believe the outcome will be different. I just didn't see it in this game.
All right, fair enough.
But home court advantage is a massive thing in college basketball. And, UCLA took advantage of it earlier in this week. I think Arizona takes advantage of it when the 2 teams, the 2 best teams in the Pac-12 meet again on Thursday. So bold prediction, bold statement. Arizona, just a week after getting blown out by UCLA, will even that regular season series at 1-1 with a victory in the McKell Center. And then, fingers crossed, hopefully, we'll get round 3 in the Pac-12 tournament.
And it is the type of win that program could use right now. Gary Parrish, we appreciate you as always. And don't forget, Gary Parrish, Matt Norlander, only one place to be. That's Breaking Things Down on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. 2 of the best in the business bringing you all the latest from the world of college hoops. March is only so far away. Get in the conversation right now on the Eye on College Basketball podcast.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.